Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniegolu. Now, lawmakers in Nigeria have rejected a bill seeking to empower women and promote gender equality. Senator Biodun Olujimi has been forced again to withdraw the draft law after her male colleagues in the National Assembly objected, citing socio-cultural and Islamic concerns. So, yet another setback in the quest to improve the lot of women in Nigeria. But how is it that senators who are supposed to promote development of all their constituents, or at least suggest that they'll do that say that they'll never regard women as equals? Well, proponents of gender equality have been pushing this bill at the National Assembly for several years now, aiming to promote women's equality in marriage, inheritance, education, and employment. But the bill has consistently run up against strong opposition and has been repeatedly rejected by lawmakers who say it is incompatible with Nigeria's cultural and religious beliefs. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Maryam Laushi, who is a gender and youth advocate and supporter of the Gender Equality Bill, and by Hamzat Lawal, who leads Connected Development or CODE, an NGO that empowers marginalized communities in Africa. Thank you very much indeed to both of you for joining us. Let me come to you first. So just a handful of senators objecting to this gender equality bill, but they kind of muddied the waters enough to get what they wanted, which is to scuttle the bill. What's your reaction to that?
So I think it's really interesting that it was based on a technicality. Apparently the word equality seems to be a problem to about 3 or 4, not more than 6 senators who had a problem with it. I think that when it comes to women's rights, it should be more than just based on a technicality. These are issues that women have, faced over years in Nigeria. However, it's an opportunity for the people who have been working on the particular bill to ensure that a word such as equality, such a trivial word, is not the reason why this important law is not considered.
And Hamzat, were you surprised that lawmakers would say the kinds of things they said and would force the withdrawal of this bill?
Well, I would say that what happened has also opened our eyes as campaigners, that we need to engage more, we need to consult more, and just also states that this is unprecedented. Mind you, if only 4 lawmakers out of 109 is against just because of the word technicality. So what this also tells you is, if Senator Olujimi went ahead, it means we would actually get the bill passed. But because we understand the collective action and goodwill of every senator as a representative of the constituents in Nigeria, and an opportunity to engage more, sensitize more, but most importantly, collect feedback, that's why she withdrew the bill. And to go and have more consultation, have more dialogue, and come back. Like we said the last time, it's not a sprint, this is a marathon, and we must get it right. And the fact that we've enjoyed collective support, both from religious institutions, traditional leaders, and now political leaders, yes, so there's an opportunity, and we're excited that it provides another avenue for dialogue, for engagement, before the new reviewed bill would be presented at the Senate.
Nevertheless, it got past the first reading, didn't it? I mean, but that wasn't an issue at that stage.
So I think that it didn't pass the first reading. I think they wanted it to go on to the second reading, and unfortunately it didn't make it. So a few of the senators proposed that it be taken to the second reading and then have parts of it that they weren't comfortable with removed. But then other people insisted that they would rather just stop it at that point and work on it before going on, before whenever it's going to be reintroduced. So unfortunately, the bill actually didn't go far at all. And this isn't the first time that the bill is coming into the National Assembly. even before it was the Gender Equal Opportunities Bill, for years upon years, women within the National Assembly have tried so hard to ensure that some of these aspects of the bill have been passed with no success. So now we're seeing it being thrown out again, and we're hoping that within this assembly, they'll be able to reintroduce it to ensure that there's no further delay on passing this bill.
What exactly was this bill, the Gender Equality Bill, trying to achieve?
Again, it's to ensure that women plays an active role. Women are provided with equal opportunity in the sense that they can now contribute their role in development and in education, and particularly in leadership. And again, this bill is not a bill that is spiting anyone. This bill just creates an enabling environment, both for men or women, and mind you, just for humans, for human being, as a human being, that your rights, your dignities are protected and provided under the ambience of the law. So again, this has provided more opportunity for engagement, for dialogue, and so that when we go back to lawmakers, we would not have any cause for alarm and no rejection, hopefully this time. I'm even more confident that this 4 or 5 senators will become advocates for gender and equity, and they would even become the backbone that would support Senator Oluchimi to push this bill.
Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of lobbying to do there. But just to be clear to members of our audience and the international community who are watching this program and are fairly perplexed, what was found to be so threatening about this bill? I mean, I understand the senators who spoke up against it, specifically, as you mentioned, picked out the word equality and said that it went against Islam and that provisions within this bill would contravene Islam.
Yeah. So I'm not Muslim, but I'm going to try to understand why they did it. So Nigeria is a country that is heavily based on religious sentiments. And even with representatives in the Senate, I believe they feel they are representing the common notions of the people they are speaking up for. So it comes down to the fact that, like we said, it's a technicality which seems to oppose what their religious beliefs are, which is that women and men having equality is not something that can be accepted. And I believe somewhere in the Nigerian constitution, it says that no law can be passed that contradicts any of the religious beliefs of Nigerians. And I think that's what brings, the complication into the issue. To be honest with you, I don't think there's anything in the bill that actually contradicts religious rules, because this isn't the first time. I remember in 2016, this was something that I worked with an organization that tried to get this passed, and they worked with religious leaders who really broke it down, took out the parts that they felt that was an issue. One of them was equal inheritance. So they took out some of those parts, and I believe that the bill has really been watered down and has made it, suitable for a lot of their religious beliefs. It just comes down to the word equality. And I think if they can look past the word, they'll be able to see that there are really good content within the bill. And if Senator Olujimi wants to go back and work with it with, I'm sure, a number of people who have worked really hard to get this bill ready, then if they can take out the word equality, I'm hoping that there will be no other excuse for passing the bill.
Right. And Hamzat, just picking up on that, I understand that specifically one of the opposing senators said he will not support the passage of the bill until the word equality is removed, because he said the word equality infringes on the Holy Quran. Are you any clearer on how exactly it does this?
I'm not a cleric. I'm an activist and advocating for what I believe is right. For us as advocates, and as we continue to push and advocate for our lawmakers to pass this bill, if they agree, or the general public agree and the lawmakers agree that we should go for equity rather than equality, then it's fine. Equity would become the sprint, while as we move ahead and as we evolve as a country, the marathon will become equity. Probably when we have more younger and more progressive lawmakers at the National Assembly. But again, I believe that it also provides an avenue for us to engage more ulamas and more scholars, both Islamic.
Well, maybe you should be talking to them about the word that they'd actually prefer
No,
to,
but-
because
but
they
they've
might have problems with equity as well.
But there've been series of engagement and dialogue and meetings. Some of these meetings were even chaired. Well, you had the voices of the Sultan of Sokoto. So hopefully in the coming days there will be more engagement, there will be more dialogue,
Right.
and we would reach out to the senators and truly understand what the issues are and how we can work closely with them to address it.
Does all this harken back to how women are seen in Nigeria, do you think? Because I understand that a similar thing happened in the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which continued to fail in the National Assembly when it was called Violence Against Women. And until the word women was removed and persons was added, that was when the bill went through.
Yes, so I think that in the conversation around equality, I'm a supporter of gender equality for women in Nigeria, and I believe in equality across any group in Nigeria. So what I've understood is that it's such a touchy word, and at the end of the day, just like you said, there's a possibility that even the word equity could be rejected. It boils down to Nigeria's culture, which I think as a woman you have to experience to really know what it's like to be a woman in Nigeria. You're not protected by wealth, you're not protected by anything when you're a woman, and you're experiencing a lot of the discrimination that happens, which is backed by our culture and the way we've lived life for probably centuries. So I think that really it boils down to that, and there has to be a change in our social norms. What we are hearing senators talk about now is a reflection of our society. And when our society begins to value women, begins to uphold women and see them as valuable voices and powers in the public space as well as the private space, I think our laws will begin to reflect that. So I think it's a symptom of a much bigger issue that Nigeria is dealing with when it comes to the way women are seen and treated in general.
And is that unique to a part of Nigeria or the whole of Nigeria?
I think it's the whole of Nigeria, and not just even Nigeria, it's pretty much the whole world. The statistics around violence against women and girls is pretty high, and we've seen so many issues, especially during lockdown. Violence against women and girls all around the country was such a huge topic, and it raised a lot of concern and a lot of advocacy. So we could see how around the country and even around the world gender equality is an issue. But of course we can see how in Nigeria there has been an emphasis on a group of people who feel the women are seen in a particular way. We've heard people from other parts of the country also, like in Osun State. I know a senator from Osun State requested that this go on to the next reading and then have it edited. So it really boils down to personal views, personal, cultural, and perhaps even the way religiously people interpret their text and their beliefs and what they've been taught from a very young age. So it could be a bunch of different things, but the truth is, when it comes down to it, in Nigeria, women are not on equal footing with men, and women should have access to equal opportunity, and that should be the focus of our lawmakers.
Absolutely. And Hamzat, is this something that, as a man who is advocating on behalf of women, you run up against some opposition?
Oh yes.
We've got about 30 seconds to take a break.
Of course there are opposition. Again, we're all shaped by our background. We're all shaped by what we have experienced, our culture, our religion, where we grew up from, and those exposures we have. So I believe, again, this is an opportunity to show more light to people that see for us as a country.
And you're determined
yes,
to do
we
that.
are committed.
Okay.
We are determined to get this.
Stay with us. We're going to come back and talk some more. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat about the inextricable entanglement of politics, culture and gender, and how to end decades of discrimination against women in Nigeria. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Enyegolu. Now, as you might have heard, the political knot that's entangled gender, culture and religion in Nigeria just got even tighter. An equality bill at the National Assembly has been withdrawn in the face of vociferous opposition from northern senators who essentially disagree that women can ever be on a par with men. But how can Nigerian senators reject such an important gender and equality bill because a few of them, just a handful really, don't believe women can ever be equal to men? And beyond the obvious disappointment for activists and proponents of gender equality in Nigeria, what happens next? And with me in the studio, Maryam Laushi, who's a gender and youth advocate and supporter of the Gender Equality Bill, and Hamzat Lawal, who leads Connected Development, or CODE, an NGO that empowers marginalized communities in Africa. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. So really the question must be, and I know we've talked about this previously and we're banging on about it, but it's quite important. What is so egregious about the words women and equality?
There's nothing. In my opinion, there's nothing, and there should be nothing. I think, like I said earlier, they really need to look at the realities of women within the country. I think it's also an issue that we don't have a lot of women in our national assemblies who will speak up for women within the assembly. So if we have, a larger group of women who are able to stand for this, who are able to advocate for this, I think it would make a little bit of a difference. I think for a woman, even if I hear the word equality, that should encourage me. And if they have a look at what's in the bill, again, like I said earlier, the bill has been watered down tremendously over the years. And when you come down to it, you see it's more about the senators really becoming more empathetic and looking at what are the realities women face, even within their constituency.
You mean rather than quibbling over words?
Rather than over the word, what is the general situation for women and how can they make it better? That should be like the key idea.
Yes, I agree with that. And coming to you, Hamzat, Maryam also mentioned something about not having enough women. But I mean, it all sounds quite incredible, though, when Nigeria has women who are cabinet ministers, deputy governors, controlling so many businesses and organizations. A Nigerian woman is the deputy UN Secretary General. I mean, a Nigerian woman is the head of the World Trade Organization. Given all that, why is there still this patriarchy and what some would call backwardness?
Politics is local, and I think that we need to understand that as local as politics is, we need to advocate for more women to enter parliament and enter more public office and ensure they have opportunities to go to school and meet their potential in life. And I would say that, Charles, when we look at registered electorate, there are more women. Our society is 50% of women, and on election day, it is women that comes out in mass to cast their ballot. I think that those energies needs to start channeling towards getting more women elected into office. And if men who are currently at the National Assembly and who might become stumbling block on any legislation against women and girls, they should watch their back, because come on election day, these women would ask them, what gifts did you give us? Because now it's an opportunity for the 9th National Assembly to give women gifts, to say thank you for electing me into office. Because when you go to various constituencies, women are much more than men that troop out to vote. So this is an opportunity for these men that are standing against progress of women and the society at large to give back to these women and support this bill, irrespective of the vocabulary that we use moving forward. But again, there will be more dialogue, there will be robust engagement around it. But I believe that this is an opportunity to truly entrench local politics to women and ensure that they use that collective will and power to elect more women into public office.
That's actually a very good point that you make there. And Maryam, does it concern you, I mean, you touched on this kind of earlier, that people who think like this are the people who are making laws for Nigeria at the very highest levels in Parliament?
It absolutely does, because it makes me feel like my voice and the voice of other women like mine is not being considered. Our welfare is not being considered. And we've had like multiple occasions where words are said about women, even within the National Assembly, that, you know, I've been a part of advocacy for many times when, especially during the lockdown, when the rates of violence against women had increased. There were words within the National Assembly, and we started a lot of conversation around it on social media. We started calls and emails to our representatives in the House of Reps, and they took back those words because they felt the voice of a lot of young men and even women come together to say, you know what, these words are not acceptable. We want women to have a voice, and we are sorry for some of the things that we said. So I think it also has to do with accountability. Young Nigerian men and young Nigerian women, I think, are more united these days than before, especially when it concerns gender equality. I think with older people, they find it a little bit more difficult to understand, perhaps those ones, especially in the National Assembly. With younger people, I don't see it as so much of a problem. But that's what it comes down to. When we have a Senate that represents us, what is our role in ensuring that they know this is our wish? We have to make calls. We have to raise the conversation. We have to use every platform available to us to let them know that this bill is important to us and they need to prioritize it as well.
And Hamzat, beyond your obvious disappointment, which I think you've expressed quite volubly, what happens next? I mean, you kind of touched on it earlier, but just to expand on it a little more clearly for us, you know, it's back to the drawing board, obviously, isn't it?
Yes, we're going back to the drawing board. We're going to engage this handful of senators and even extend our engagement and consultation to religious and traditional clerics so that we're all on the same page. But Charles, let me commend the National Assembly. They did not throw out the bill. The senator, in her wisdom, withdrew the bill. So that's a commendation for the National Assembly. But let them also know that history would either be kind to them if they append their name in gold by supporting this bill, or otherwise. And here is a unique opportunity to write history, because right now they have the pen on their hands. So let them do the writing by supporting it. And we cannot say we're he for she advocates and then we become stumbling block on progress and development in our own country. But I commend them, and the world is watching. The world is watching closely on what action they will take.
And Maryam, what's the strategy from here on? I mean, I heard one activist saying that they intend to activate citizens to call out their legislators and let them know that this is not representative of them. I mean, but obviously the words equality, women, they all have to go. What are your thoughts in that direction? What would be, I mean, looking forward, what would be a replacement for that? And we've got about a minute.
So I think one of the words that have been thrown out are equity, and I think even within the National Assembly they mentioned that they would rather see equity than equality. So that's a call to action. Let's do what we need to do. I think because this bill has been there for a really long time, it's high time we do what we need to do to ensure it's passed. If we're breaking it into different parts, we break it into different parts and make sure it goes through. If we're changing the words, we need to do that. But I strongly believe, like Hamzi said, that the Senator Olujimi and a lot of the people that have been working on this will re-strategize and will ensure that it comes back and is received a lot better.
Okay, Maryam Laushi, who is a gender and youth advocate, and Hamzat Lawal, who leads Connected Development or CODE. Thank you very much indeed to both of you. That's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Lagos, bye-bye and thank you for watching.